Hey there, I'm Natalie.
I'm Emmanuel.
And I'm Max.
And we're cruising Israel for ILTV.
Welcome to part 1 of our adventures in the north.
On today's show, we're going to be exploring areas in the Jordan Valley, while also learning a little bit about the history.
The Jordan Valley, how long is the drive there from Tel Aviv?
It's 2 hours, Max.
Oh boy, so...
We better get going.
We better do it.
Okay, let's go. Just a couple of Tel Aviv girls drove all the way up north of Israel today to see some of the most diverse and historic sites that this country has to offer. And now we're in Kibbutz Ashdot Yaakov, just south of the Sea of Galilee, next to the Jordanian border.
Where I interviewed a very interesting man by the name of Ofer. He is a kibbutz member here, and he may or may not have let us cross the Jordan gates.
Let's check that out.
When first arriving to Kibbutz Ashdot Yaakov, we were greeted by one of the original members, Ofer, who was kind enough to tell us and even show us some of the historic areas on the kibbutz. We're here right now with Ofer, who is going to explain to us a little bit about where we are and what we're standing on over here.
Yeah, we are standing on old train. The train over here, the Turkish train over here from Haifa to Damascus.
These historic train tracks used to form a bridge that crossed over the Yarmouk River, which forms part of the borderline between Israel and Jordan. The Yarmouk is the largest tributary to the Jordan River. These rivers not only run through Israel, but Jordan and Syria too.
Pinchas Rutenberg, before 85 years, built the first electricity station in Israel. And he took the water from the Jordan and from the Yarmouk, it's over here, and take them to the big lake, something about 1,000 dunam. You have to change it to acre, I think. And he took the water to the place where he put the water in the 3 pipes and fold the water from 27 meters.
Pinchas Rutenberg was a vocal and committed Jewish nationalist who helped create what is now known as the Israel Electric Corporation, which is now the main supplier of electric power here in Israel.
Here we can see the water from the Jordan, and this lake, this canal, it's built by Rutenberg to take the water of the Jordan. Some water took from the Yarmouk River, and all the water he put together in the big lake. See the dam over there, and behind of the dam, it was a big lake from the water from the Jordan and the Yarmouk River.
Believe it or not, but right behind us are the gates that lead into Jordan. Just a few steps away and you're no longer in the Holy Land.
The gate of the kings, you can see 2 kings, Abdallah and Hussein, and this is the enter to the piece of island. We are going inside, we are going to cross the border.
What makes crossing this border even more interesting is the history of land we get to step on. Once crossing, we will stand on an area called the Island of Peace, which is where Pinchas Rutenberg built his hydroelectric power station. In 1994, Israel relinquished the area to Jordan during the Israel-Jordan Peace Treaty. Later, Jordan agreed to lease the land back to the members of Kibbutz Ashdot Yaakov in order for them to continue cultivating the land.
So we are now in Jordan. We just crossed the border over here, and we are where? Tell us where we are.
אנחנו עומדים בתוך אי השלום שנמסר לירדנים במסגרת הסכמי השלום. מאחורינו אפשר לראות את מפעל החשמל ההיסטורי שהוקם פה לפני למעלה מ-84 שנים על ידי רוטנברג. החשמל מכאן הופעל, נוצר על ידי נפילת המים מגובה ב3 צינורות מגובה של 27 מטר. המים הפעילו 3 טורבינות שייצרו 18 מגוואט לכל ארץ ישראל הצפונית. חיפה, טבריה, קיבוצים של עמק הירדן וחלק קטן לחצר המלוכה הירדני. היו יחסים טובים עם הירדנים ולכן סיפקו להם חשמל בשביל לשמור על היחסים איתם.
And another famous White House. Up on the hill was Rutenberg's villa where some very interesting conversations occurred.
The White House, it's a villa, it belonged to Rutenberg, and there before מלחמת העצמאות, האמיר עבדאללה נפגש עם גולדה מאירסון במקום הזה. גולדה מאירסון ביקשה אותו לא להשתתף במלחמת העצמאות, והם נפגשים בבית הזה, הבית צבוע בלבן, ורוטנברג קורא לו הבית הלבן.
Wow, what a surprise. We're actually in Jordan right now. We just passed the border.
We just crossed the King's Gates from Israel into Jordan. Very exciting.
Yeah, and with every step that we take on these grounds, tons of history has taken place. And right in front of us, tell us what we can see.
Right in front of us is where they signed the peace treaty back in 1994, around the time I was born. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, so what do you say? Let's go back to Israel?
Yeah,
Kayaking?
It's getting really hot.
Next activity is kayaking. Let's go.
When first walking into Rob Roy, it's not your ordinary tourist site. You walk into big tent-like spaces with a type of Bedouin vibe. You're offered coffee or tea and a quick rundown on what you're about to encounter on your trip. The canoe trip starts at the southern part of the Jordan River, and you should be expecting to float around about 1 to 2 hours, and anyone from 2 years old and up can take part.
Okay, we're at a place called Rob Roy, and what does this mean? Is it a name?
Rob Roy is the name of a canoe boat of a British explorer named John McGregor. He explored the Jordan River about 150 years ago. Actually started from Lebanon and he came down here with his boat. And he wrote on his boat very big, Rob Roy. His great-great-grandfather was Rob Roy McGregor, which he was a Scottish warrior.
Tell us about this waters that we're about to get into. It's part of the Jordan.
It's the south of River Jordan that comes out of the Kinneret Lake. And it goes down south and actually it reaches the Dead Sea eventually.
Cool, so
Yeah.
I got my life jacket on. We're ready to go into the water.
Great.
Orange is definitely the new black. We got our neon-colored life vest all strapped up. Now it's time to see how long it takes for me and Nat to fall off. This should be interesting.
Who's the strongest?
I am.
So you
I'm
sit
the
in the
fattest.
back?
That's what you meant to ask. Nailed it. Nailed it.
And that's how it's done.
Woo! As you can tell, I'm not such an outdoorsy type of girl.
She's a city girl, people, you know this, but I have to say she did a really good job for her first time, especially with me relaxing in the back.
I'm doing all the work,
I'm
aren't I?
chilling.
Emmanuel, get your paddle going.
I'm chilling, relaxing, enjoying the sun.
Okay, I guess I should help her out.
Okay, I'm helping you. You do the other side so that we don't turn. There we go, Natty. Oh.
Are you doing the other side? Why are you doing my side?
Because we were turning.
Teamwork, that's how you do it. Now, on our adventure, we got to see some cute animals along the way that we were not expecting.
Look at this duck staring at me.
Natalie decided it would be a fabulous idea to row the boat straight into the sprinklers that were shooting water into the river.
Oh no!
Yeah, I knew it.
No, that was such a mistake. I did not mean to do that. That was not intentional at all. Now we're soaking wet. I'm so sorry.
Well, that was refreshing until we almost did it again.
No, we're going back there. No!
And now it's time to head back to shore.
We're cruising Israel for ILTV four-wheeler edition. We're gonna drive past the Kinneret, the banana field, the eucalyptus grove.
And clearly I don't trust this one driving, so I'm gonna take control and get us there safely.
Let's see what happens. Let's put this on and go. Turn on the car.
Wait, no.
What better way to explore the beautiful countryside way up north than on an all-wheel drive vehicle? On this fun driving experience, you can go uphill and downhill and driving by the kibbutz fields and the fruit groves and pass by beautiful landscapes that you can only see from high up in the mountains. We rode along the banks of southern Jordan, where the Kinneret flows into the Jordan River, which then makes its way to the Dead Sea. You can even see some scenic views across 3 countries: Israel, Lebanon, and Syria. We made a quick stop over here because of this unbelievable view. Tell our viewers what we're looking at exactly.
This is the scenery of the Jordan Valley. We have the Kinneret over there, the Galilean Sea, and above it it's the Golan Heights. Behind it it's already Syria, and it's divided by this valley. From it started the Gilad Mountains, which are actually Jordan country. So
that little city that I see right over there is already part of Jordan.
yeah, it's really, really close. It's amazing. It's pretty much divided by the Jordan River. Behind it, it's really another country. So we see all these settlements, and like we said about the agriculture, the pioneer fruit over here, it's like the dates and avocado and lychee trees and bananas.
This fun off-roading experience was also pretty informative. We visited the sites of the very early settlements. Okay, tell us about the history of the place that we're in right now.
So here we are right next to Kinneret Moshava that started in 1908. So it's really, really early before Israel was actually established. And it was a very important place. A lot of important people lived here, like Golomb and Katzenelson and Rachel, the poetry. And they all lived here and started developing this area. Most of the kibbutz start here in Kinneret, Moshava, in Chatzar Kinneret, and lots of stories in this little place.
Okay, why don't you tell us about the next destination? Where are we going to now?
Okay, so now we're going to the banana trees.
Yes, let's go. Even though more than half of the land of Israel is desert, the agriculture here is highly developed. Many of the fruits and vegetables are harvested freshly in Israel all year round, but the pattern of rain makes the difference between summer and winter produce. The rain in the summer months is extremely rare, making the winter fruits much more flavorful.
Banana fruit is developing. It starts with a flower like this, and here we can see every time that it fills, we can see that the bananas over here. You see, these are the big ones, and a lot of water. So every time that I fill this thing, you can see little bananas. Okay. And it continues pretty much until it ends.
So under each petal, there's like about 10 bananas that grow, get bigger and bigger.
Much more. You see, this is the cluster. But the tree is not really strong. Okay, so it's getting really, really heavy for it. So at some certain point, it stopped developing the bananas, and then you see this is where the farmers maybe took it off.
Just a couple of more weeks and these bananas would be firm, flavorful, and ready to eat. As you mentioned, we're surrounded by all these eucalyptus trees. What were they used for?
So they used to believe that the eucalyptus trees are helping to dry the swamps, to dry the water. Well, obviously you can see that they didn't succeed, and then they wanted to use the water. So they did all this dust road and divided the swamps to fish ponds that used to work since the early 50s until the early 90s, and then they closed it, and now it's like this, green but really nice and lovely place for doing picnics.
Yeah, it's definitely a beautiful place to come by with your ATVs. Are there any fish in the water left?
Just a little bit. You can see a little bit of water turtles. It's really nice, and cool birds are coming here sometimes. And it's a very famous place because, well, in Israel you have Naomi Shemer, which was a writer, very famous writer, and she lived right here next to where we are now, in Kibbutz Kinneret. And she wrote a song about this place, about the eucalyptus grove.
Tell us about your company, Bashvilim, for the viewers watching that want to partake on these ATV tours.
Okay, so the name is Bashvilim, which means in the roads. So it's like stories crossing the Jordan Valley, like we did. And it's for all the ages. It's family tours. We have different kind of vehicles.
The 2- and 4-seater vehicles are accessible to all and is accompanied by explanations and historical stories. And on just a 2-hour tour on the history of wheels, as they call it, you can see it all. You learn a lot going on these tours, so it's very worth it for everyone who wants to try this. After such an extreme and adventurous day that included mud and dust and dirt, we finally got all cleaned up
And decided to come here to Tzel Tamar restaurant, which is the first and only restaurant here at the kibbutz and happens to be handmade by the owners themselves.
Let's try out the food.
Let's grab a bite.
Restaurant Tzel Tamar, which means shadow of a date, is located inside the kibbutz within a large tropical garden with a stream that crosses by. The restaurant is quite spacious and offers a wide variety of quality dishes. But before we get into the food, let's find out how it all started.
We're here right now with Lior, one of the owners of Tzel Tamar restaurant. Hello, thanks so much for having us.
Good evening.
So tell us, you are one of the owners here. Tell us about the history of this place and how it started.
Okay. The restaurant was built on 1998 by my partner, Dani Zevi. By the time he was living here in the kibbutz, he finished his military service and he had a dream to have a big place surrounded with trees.
So I heard that your partner had built the restaurant himself. Is that true?
Yes, it is. He was working in the kibbutz by the time, and in the nights, just with help of his friends, he just built it just step by step, as you can see. And it wasn't so big.
It began as a small restaurant selling just ice cream and pizza. And today, the family restaurant serves enough to make everyone in the family happy and satisfied.
And what kind of food do you guys mainly serve here?
We are having basically families, so our menu is like we got basically meats, grilled meats, but we do serve also fish and seafood and pasta, fresh pasta, and salads, of course. And so when the family comes here during their trip or something, each one of the family can find himself.
Whatever they need.
Yeah, exactly. So the kids have what to eat, and
That's awesome.
yeah.
And do you see a lot of tourists here, and mainly from where do you see them?
We have tourists here all around the world.
Yeah.
I can guess that most of them are coming to this area historically or
To learn about
religiously, because it's related to the Sea of Galilee. It's one of the nicest areas in Israel. So
that's definitely true. We've been to a lot of places here, and it's beautiful here.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of wine bottles, a lot of wine on the tables. Tell us about that.
First of all, we like wine. We like to drink wine, but as a mission, like a small mission, we're selling lots of wine here in the restaurant, and it's only Israeli production, Israeli wine. We believe in the wine industry in Israel, which is now getting better and better, improving by the years, and we got very good wine. Now in Israel, it's a big issue in restaurants. Most of the restaurants importing the wine from all around the world. but here we
stick to the country.
We stick to the country for at least 9 years or 10 years by now.
After getting to know the owner of the restaurant, we finally got served our food. With an assortment of salads and bread and sauces, it was time to dig in. Cheers, honey.
Cheers, Dave. Look me in the eyes immediately.
Okay, that's my favorite.
Yes.
Let's put that on this side of the table.
Let's put that in the middle and be fair, but leaning towards the right side.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. But that was definitely not all. The restaurant's specialty is all kinds of meats, and the waiter brought out some very juicy steaks, my favorite. And after devouring this delicious meal, surprisingly enough, we actually met a fellow Oleh Hadash from the States.
I'm here with Lev right now, one of the Garin Tzabar members who now lives in the kibbutz. So tell us why you made Aliyah, what Garin Tzabar is.
Well, it all started at a very young age, and growing up in an Orthodox community in a Jewish school, just instilled with a deep sort of Zionistic connection to Israel. But then what happened was I started to sort of falling out with religion, and I became a little bit more secular, clashed with my parents a little bit, and I wanted to find my own Jewish identity. And so I didn't really feel as at home in an Orthodox Jewish community, so I decided to come to Israel, where you can be a Jew, whether or not you wear a kippah, whether or not you drive on Shabbat, whether or not you do anything, keep kosher. Everyone's a Jew because it's Israel.
Everyone's accepted.
And so I told everyone that I was going to join the army, and they're like, okay. And I told everyone the year after that I was going to join the army, they're like, okay. And then eventually I just told everyone, so I had no other option but to join the army, because
that's what you had said.
That's what I had told everyone.
Okay, and what did you do in the army? And what is Garin Tzabar exactly?
Garin Tzabar is this cool project that brings 24 people who live in a sort of similar neighborhood. Like for us, it was the East Coast, from down New Jersey down to Maryland. Brings 24 people together to live on the same kibbutz and go through the same process of applying to drafting into the army, trying out for different parts in the army, and doing the entire army service while living together on the same kibbutz. It's a very cool program because you have this close-knit base of friends that you wouldn't otherwise have if you just came and made Aliyah by yourself.
Yeah.
And they also teach you a little bit about the army beforehand, teach you a little bit about Hebrew, you have an Upan.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was nice.
What did you do in the army?
In the army, I was in Tzanchanim, which is paratroopers. I was in the Me'eve Echad, the 101st Airborne.
That's amazing.
It was fun, yeah.
Yeah? You like jumping out?
I hate jumping out of planes. Everyone in Tzanchanim hates jumping out of planes.
Why? Because you did it so many times, or because it's just not your
thing? No one
thing?
thinks about that. No one goes. Most people don't go to Tzanchanim to actually jump out of planes. It just happens to be a requirement.
Okay.
And then you get to that day, and everyone's like, "Wait,
I'm actually gonna jump."
I don't want to jump out of an airplane. Do I have to jump out of this airplane?
Do you think you're gonna stay in Israel?
Yeah, I think I am going to stay in Israel.
Yeah?
I have a lot invested in it. I've done the army service here. I feel like my time in Israel is just beginning. I've finished the army service and I'm ready to move forward and try to change this country for the better.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us, for telling us a little bit about your story, and we'll let you get back to work.
Thanks.
Wow, what a day. We learned so much history, got to cross into Jordan, had a wild ride on ATVs, and a delicious dinner. That's all for part 1 of our trip here in the north. Next week, we'll show you more of Kibbutz Ashdot Yaakov, and we have a few more surprises in store. Make sure to check back in on Sunday at iltv.tv to see part 2 of this Cruising Israel segment and take part in our crazy adventures. Bye!